Good evening and welcome to this edition of Referee's Corner. I'm your host, Earl Baston, and joining me, none other than the president of the Bermuda Football Association, Mr. Mark Wade, and the general secretary of the Bermuda Football Association, Mr. David Sabir. Good evening, gentlemen. Thank you very much for your time this evening. I know both of you are extremely busy. However, we're talking about officiating. And one of the reasons why I wanted to talk to both of you, because both of you have had some experience of officiating on island. I know, David, you had, I think it was a season and a half, wasn't it? Or two and a half seasons?
Many seasons ago.
Yes, of being in the middle. And I know I actually have caught the president in action as a referee assistant. When you catch the president in action, you got to give him a little bit of grief while he's running the line. So, can he concentrate on what he's got to do? But the advancement of what the head of referees, Mr. Cranston Williams, and the organization of the Bermuda Referees Association have been able to do over the last few years, how impressive is it for you guys now that you attend the Congress meetings, the conferences, and the regional meetings, to now know that we have had some success of having people put on not only the FIFA list, but also the opportunity of us allowing other officials from around the region to come to Bermuda and officiate as well, something that I know the region has been looking to do, but it's actually off the ground and running in Bermuda.
Yeah. Well, first of all, good evening, and good evening to everybody online. It's been just for me rewarded to watch things progress from the time when I had my one and only match, a derby, PAC Southampton Rangers at Southampton Rangers, to now where there's a light at the end of the tunnel, so to speak. There's a concerted effort and plan that's being worked for us to improve and increase the number of referees and assistant referees who are officiating our matches. And the programming that's in place at the moment. So we have quite a bit of training and different types of training as well. So we've had CONCACAF training, we've had FIFA training, we've had UEFA training. And then, a referee exchange program where we have incoming referees, fairly high level, who are able to referee matches and also to impart the knowledge and experience on our officials here in Bermuda. So it's like I said, it's rewarding to see a plan in action and results coming.
Mm-hmm. And Mr. Sabir?
Well, one of the things we have to also do is give credit to where credit is due. And, a lot of that goes to our referee department, our referee chairman, Cranston Williams, who embraced all of the developments in refereeing coming from FIFA and CONCACAF. I mean, tremendous resources, lots of information, lots of plans. You don't have to reinvent the wheel, shall we say. We don't have to come up with some special formula for referee development. It's laid out. And, credit to the association supporting, the development of refereeing, where we said this is important, has to be important. Refereeing is one of the pillars of the game. No referee, no game. And so, credit to all involved over the years, lots of credit for taking on the obligation of improving refereeing. And now you see the fruits of the labors by having 3 officials. And I would venture to say, if you've heard Cranston Williams speak, there will be more officials that will make it to the international arena. It's there to be had.
Yeah. Well, Mr. Wade, when you would have first taken over the leadership of the Bermuda Football Association. And I'm going to ask you a similar question, Mr. Sabir, because you've been around for quite some time. But when you took over, we had a aging group of officials. How much worried, or how worried were you that we didn't see a group of youngsters? You know what I mean? We had this, again, this aging group, and to now see there's that promised land of youngsters coming through, and the younger ones, or the older younger ones, are now taking over, Premier Division games and First Division games. But how worried were you when you first took over about officiating in Bermuda?
Well, I mean, very much so, and not just that there's a aging pool, but also, we weren't improving, and obviously that impacts the product on the field of play, impacts the players, coaches, and how they approach matches. So that was, a big concern. Um, and Larry Musson had the vision to appoint Cranston Williams, and I'll say this: it's also a testament to people who have a desire to improve football, and I say that because it's not a secret. Cranston Williams is not a referee, um, but what he brings to the table is a certain level of management, certain level of enthusiasm, affinity to young people, and you roll those all into one, and you end up with a chairperson and a committee that are committed to improving refereeing in Bermuda. And fast forward to today, we have three officials and more along the way, and we've identified young people who have an affinity for it, and who have these skill sets, and we think they can go even further. So while we're still in crisis, um, there is, like I said, there is a light at the end of the tunnel.
Mm. And Mr. Sabir, I'll ask this: when you took on the challenge of officiating, I would only, you could probably correct me, I would only assume it was because of our dwindling numbers, and you saw it was time for someone to step in, and you decided to step in. Unfortunately, injury would prevent you from continuing. But as the general secretary of the association, were you concerned about the dwindling and aging numbers of our officials?
I not only was I concerned, I was becoming so worried that I saw the net negative impact of not having enough referees, that would have actually taken away the opportunity for our football and our players and our community to enjoy the number one sport on the island. As they say, sometimes you lead from the front, and in a leadership position, I saw myself as understanding the game. Number one, I thought I was fit enough to assist, and when duty calls, sometimes you have to, step out of your comfort zone and be a part of the solution rather than the problem. I think we went through a period when people were looking at referee, the negativity, that was being directed to football, and then specifically how that impacted people who wanted to be referees or who were referees, to say, I don't know if I want to be a part of that, But over the years, I think the association, and led by various persons involved in refereeing, started to reach out into the community and let people know not only the benefits of refereeing, but also the positive impact on the sport itself. Fits in nicely with the slogans of the association, right? Football, opportunity, community. So we used the opportunity that refereeing provides, reached out into our community, and this is a credit to everyone that's been a part of of trying to grow the numbers of referees. We reached out to the community and said, listen, this is an important part of our sport. If we don't do anything to increase the numbers, improve the quality, football's going to suffer, right? So the opportunity through our community to impact positively on football, 3 pillars of the BFA, and it's working.
Yeah.
We're not out of the woods yet,
Yeah.
but the more we can bring about wholesale changes in the attitudes, in the way we look at our sport, protect our sport, I think people will start to see, listen, I'm doing something to benefit the sport that I love, and at the same time, I can do something to improve myself as a leader. And if I go even more committed to the craft of refereeing, I can represent Bermuda internationally. And I see that's what we're seeing happen.
Yeah. Mr. Reed, I know, well, we know we're still not out of the woods. However, I think we have another crisis on our hands, but it's a successful crisis because we have a lot of our senior officials now becoming either trainers or assessors and so forth.
Yeah.
Although they're not out of the game, they're not someone not officiating the game. So we're kind of creating, because we're doing this success thing in one area, we're kind of falling, the numbers drop in the other area. So how do you balance that out?
Well, I mean, at the moment, credit to them, they're still officiating,
Yes.
as well as instructors, and as well as assessors. So, credit to them for doubling up. It's a work in progress, and I think as we improve, as we move along this pathway, they'll be able to step away from the field of play, and the idea that it's going to take some time. I think they've embraced that. I think they're starting to look at their bodies and knowing that there are certain things they have to do, and there's a timeline into how long we're going to need them. So they're to a certain degree they're masters of their own destiny. So they've got to instruct and prepare our young people to replace them. So that it's a good thing to have. And I think we're doing well. The other thing that it's brought about is we've got a rejuvenated referees association where we have a team there that's now looking at embracing their responsibilities in conjunction with our referees committee. There are 2 organizations that work in conjunction with each other. So that's happening as well at the same time. So there's a lot of upward trajectory, and it's exciting for me anyway. I don't know. I don't think I got this excited about officiating when I was a player and a coach, but I'm certainly excited about it now.
Yeah, because I was going to ask Mr. Sabir. I mean, years ago when you would have been playing, and now that you've had this experience of even officiating and being even around officials, how much of the game have you learned off the field of play as opposed to when you were actually on the field playing?
Well, I tell you what, let's go back to when I was refereeing. At that level, you have to understand and know the laws of the game. As when I was playing, I relied on the referee to tell me I was breaking the laws of the game. And I tried very hard not to. And when I thought I wasn't, I looked at the referee as to what are you calling, ref? But off the field, and as you said, I've had the honor of being around some of the top referees in the world and understanding what they put into refereeing and and when you get inside those in the what they call the back office of international football, and you start to hear and learn and understand, the application of the laws of the game, and you say to yourself, man, I didn't realize that, like, at times they use a whole 17, 18 laws of the game, 18, 17 laws of the game, right? So you have to, I have a deep appreciation. And I said, if I was born in another life, I think I would have wanted to be a referee, especially in this day and time, because the technology, the information, and all of these sort of, like, the improvements that are in front of referees today is simply amazing. It's absolutely amazing. Yeah. And the higher the level, don't look at referees as just referees. These are athletes.
Right.
They are truly athletes. And I look at the sacrifices that a number of our local referees that are putting into their craft. And, I have nothing but respect for them to come out in sometimes horrible weather, just like the players and the coaches and the fans. Everyone is a stakeholder in this beautiful game. And being able to talk about refereeing, I have tremendous respect and admiration for what they do.
Yeah. Mr. Wade, I know your predecessor, Mr. Marcedin, often talked about going to Congress meetings and walking in kind of quietly because we didn't have anybody on the FIFA list, and that was a big thing for him. And I remember when even you have mentioned it, that when he appointed Cranston, he gave him a task, and you kind of continued on with the task. But you've upped the stakes on Mr. Williams. You've kind of said, okay, one's not enough, three is not enough. We need a team. Can you elaborate just a little bit on that? Because I mean, a lot of people don't understand the concept of, if we had a team of officials, what that actually means for Bermuda.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I never want us to rest on our laurels, right? Yes, Larry's challenge was we need somebody on the FIFA list. We need somebody on the FIFA list. So for me, it was, okay, that's great. But right after you do that, we want a team on the FIFA list. How beautiful would it be to see four Bermudians take the field of play in an international match of significance? We say we always want to see our players in lights. Well, now we want to see our referees and our assistant referees in lights. And now, even before we've reached the team, I've given and he's accepted the next challenge, which is, the race is on. Are we going to have a team in a World Cup playing, or are we going to have referees in the World Cup playing and officiating? The race is on, so there's a competition going on right now. And I'm not going to put my money here because it's, but this is the nature of sport, right? That you're never satisfied. You should always be looking to improve and always looking to be better. And that's where we are. We're looking to be better. First is a team. Next is, who's going to make it on the field of play between the white lines. Is it a team of footballers, or is it a team of match officials? That's where we are. And it's I got excited now. I watch games now, and referee blows his whistle. I'm looking at the AR. I'm looking at the fourth official. I didn't do that as a player. As David said, I didn't do all that. But this is what we do now. And just because we, as you get more and more knowledge about match officiating, this is the things that you do. And I encourage players and coaches to learn more about officiating. It decreases the amount of angst between the players and match officials, but it also gives you another tool to get some kind of success on your field of play. You know, if you know the rules. Once you know the rules, then you know perhaps there's a loophole that you can get around to steal some kind of advantage, right?
Right.
But yeah, you know, understanding the referee running pattern, understanding the signals that they give each other. You know, because if I'm looking at the signal that the AR is giving to the referee, that I might steal a second or two, because I know what's coming next. You know, and I can off and play. It's there's sort of things that I think you know, there's these sort of peripheral benefits of improving refereeing and getting this information out there.
Sure. Mr. Sabir, you mentioned technology, and we've seen on island just the verbal technology equipment that the officials are using nowadays that improves their communication a lot better. Back in the day, how much would that have helped you know, improve not only the standard but improve that communication with back then they were called linesmen, now referee assistants?
Yes. I mean, I think it would be foolhardy to say the technology would not have helped. You know, that's why technology is before us today. The game has evolved, and how we manage the game, how we administrate the game, how we referee in the game had to evolve with the game. So the use of today's technology can only be beneficial to the referee, or let's be more important, can only be beneficial to the sport as a whole, right? The mere fact that in the heat of the moment, referees themselves are having a communication inside the game. What does it do? It helps to ensure that the game itself is not compromised. Yeah. It helps the referee and the assistant referee, because it is always possible that a referee can make a mistake. And what you want to do is try to, you know, to limit the mistake or eliminate the mistake altogether, but certainly to diminish the impact of the mistake. Now we're talking about communication between, you know, the assistants or the referee team, communication with the referee team. Let's go a step further, where we now have the VAR that's being used at the international level. Now, some would say that's long overdue. And if you ask certain teams at certain points in their life, they would say, you know, the video assistant referee should have been part of football, like it's been a part of other sports, like tennis, for example, or NFL, right? Or basketball, or whatever the case may be. It's now part of football, which is still debatable in terms of whether or not they get it right all the time. But at least we have technology helping us.
The one thing, I'm glad you mentioned those sports. The one thing about those sports, there are a lot of stop-starts in those sports, tennis and football, and where they use that technology. Football is a game that kind of flows. You know, even if the ball goes outside, you quickly get it and you throw it back in. You know, that type of stuff. You know, and I think it's going to take a few more years for everybody to really like settle down and understand what the guy that's in that booth making that decision or helping the official to make that decision. It's going to take a while for everybody to understand what he's looking at, why he comes up with that decision. Because right now everybody's saying, I don't even know what the guy's looking at. Me personally, even when they started it with cricket, and then they started announcing it on the big screen so everybody hears it at the same time as the umpire is hearing it. I'm like, what are you doing? You might as well just have the umpire up in the pavilion. Because you've taken that away from them on the, you know what I mean? And it's kind of, I mean, you do want to get it right. Well, everybody in football makes mistakes. Or between the white lines, they make mistakes.
But you see the emotional and the psychological impact. We're inserting technology to help, but still the debate.
Yes.
right?
Rage is on.
And the emotions from the use of this technology is
still to this day.
Still to this day, right?
Yeah.
But again, technology is the best thing ever happened.
Oh yes, yeah. I would agree with that. I would
when
agree
it's to your benefit, and then when it's not to your benefit, you question it sometimes, right? You're not all the time.
Well, I know what the next big debate for VAR would be. Can you be ruled offside by your hand or arm? Can you score a goal with your hand or arm with VAR in play?
Well,
so if you cannot score with those parts of your body whilst in play using VAR, why are they ruled offside? But that's what other.
That debate will rage all over the world. It will rage forever.
Yes.
It's real.
And I personally think it's going to come down to where they're going to change it. That part of your body.
They just might. Yeah.
Yeah. That part of it, because it's you can't score with it. Well, technically you're not supposed to.
You can't score with it, but you can certainly use those parts of your body to gain an advantage.
Oh yes, without a doubt. Without a doubt.
You remember back in the day, fellas. Remember back in the day when if you were just standing in an offside position, it was offside.
Offside. Yes.
And very little debates, didn't we?
Yeah. Yeah.
Very little. That's right.
Yeah. Even if you didn't go for the ball, you're offside. The ball was in your area.
Yeah.
You're offside. Yeah.
The Manchester City fans might have something to say with that.
Going for the ball and touching the ball are two different things.
Oh no! People or interfering with play now.
Wow.
Yeah, you got to put so many different variables into one decision right now. So it's amazing.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah. Well, I know Mr. Wade has to go, but Mr. Wade, I want to ask you a question. I've reported over the weekend where there's a possibility of another USL team from Bermuda. Has the Bermuda Football Association been in talks or had any communication regarding a second USL team possibly for next year?
No, we haven't had any discussions about a second USL team. Well, obviously we look forward to being able to have some dialogue about it. And see where it can benefit Bermuda.
Okay, all right. I'm happy to continue on with you, Mr. Sabir. I know Mr. Wade has to go, but Mr. Sabir, let me ask you, as the General Secretary, and you're quite well known not only around the region but throughout FIFA. Now, what are some of your comrades saying about Bermuda and the steps in which Mr. Williams and others within the association have been taken to improve not only the numbers of referees in Bermuda, but the quality?
I can tell you that the opinion of what is being done in Bermuda is very high. We can debate, what people think of the quality or think of the work that's being done, but the reports and the feedback coming from our regional colleagues and our FIFA colleagues with regards to the amount of attention that's being put toward improving and developing and growing the numbers of referees in Bermuda is highly commendable. We look at what is being done in countries, MAs to our, and that's member associations, sorry.
Yes.
Colleagues to the south of us. And we rank up there in terms of our focus on referee development. No, do we compete with the Mexicos and the United States? No, resource-wise, population size, staff dedicated to only refereeing, it's nowhere comparable. But what the focus that we have on refereeing, it's very, very, very much to be commended.
Yeah.
And that's a credit to Cranston and the Bermuda Referees Association and his standing committee colleagues that are doing everything possible to improve refereeing in Bermuda.
And one more before you go, Mr. Wade. if we were to manage a team, would we be the smallest country to ever have a team of officials officiate an international match?
That's a good question. I do not know the answer to that. We'd be close to it, if so. But that's interesting. It's worth having a look at.
Mm, definitely. Definitely. Mr.
So
Williams, I don't know if you'd be okay. Thank you, Mr. Wade. I don't know if
thank
Mr.
you,
Wade is
Mike.
watching of Mr. Sabir, but precious now put on. We need to be the smallest country with a team. And the pressure's on you, President, to make sure, and the General Secretary to make sure it happens. But over the years, Mr. Sabir, over the years, you've seen this kind of go full circle. We had a bunch of senior referees who demanded respect on the field. I'm talking about the McNeil Smiths, the Aston Curtises, the Roddy Burchells, the Richard Knights, and the like. I mean, these guys, when they showed up at a field, you knew who was in charge, regardless of who was playing. They commanded that. We saw there was a period of time where we were aging in officials. We were struggling for officials. I remember there was a time where the association was asking for clubs to have somebody on hand in the event that we didn't have enough officials. So to see all of that and now to come around to this, although we keep saying that we're not out of the woods yet, but how proud of you are you of that transformation, of seeing that, living through that, actually working through that whole thing? Because I mean, you've been through a few presidents that had to deal with that situation, and as a general secretary, you also got to battle that you're on that battlefield as well.
First of all, I would like to pay give a lot of credit to our refereeing icons, our stalwarts.
Mm-hmm.
From yesteryears, the names you called off, Mr. Marshall,
Mm-hmm.
Aston Curtis, Mr. Crockle. I can't call him by his nickname because, he was worthy of being called Mr. Crockle. But all these icons, and you come up a little later to Lyndon Rayner and
Mm-hmm.
Anthony Machette and Cal Simons and
Mm-hmm.
Gregory Simons and Stuart Crockle.
Yeah.
We have we had some really top referees, and they made it internationally.
Mm-hmm.
And we went through a period when people forgot the importance of football and the importance of having quality people refereeing.
Yes.
And on top of that, we also went through this sort of social change.
Mm-hmm.
When hostility and sort of bad behavior and it's just refereeing,
Mm-hmm.
or it's just football, crept into our game, and it sort of like gave people, and I said it earlier, sort of turned people off a little bit, I think now the message is that, refereeing is equally as important as playing,
Mm-hmm.
as coaching, as administrating, because if we don't have all of these areas of our game working in harmony and striving to be the best that each of those areas can be, our game's not going to grow.
Mm-hmm.
And now the message has to be, there is a space for you in football.
Yes.
You may not be a national team player. In fact, you may not even make the squad of your club, but there is an opportunity for you to be a leader in football through refereeing.
Mm-hmm.
And on top of that, you can also play your part in ensuring that football continues to the level that we all want it to be, the best that it could be, right? So we have a very robust coach education program going on.
Mm-hmm.
Wonderful.
Right.
With our coaches getting more insights and knowledge and education about coaching, hopefully we will continue to see an uptick in the performance and the quality and the levels of our players.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So if coaching and playing is improving, we can't leave referee behind.
Yes.
Right. So the message is that there are a number of players out there that right now don't see how they could impact positively on the sport by being a referee. We have to get that message out to them that your involvement as a referee ensures that football continues in the manner to which you may have enjoyed it yourself as a player.
Right.
Right. On top of that, yes, there is some income to be made from it. There is a whole level of camaraderie amongst like-minded people who are refereeing.
Mm-hmm.
And if you really dedicate yourself to it, there is a space for you in the international arena. And why not see the world for free?
Yeah. I was going to ask you, I mean, if you look at just last year, we've had more representation internationally by our officials than we had by our teams.
Well,
Just that alone, the opportunities that were presented to our officials, I mean, you know, they spent a lot of time off island, you know, not only representing themselves, but representing us as well. And, you know, one of the things that I remember, even speaking with a few of the other officials who've been on the show as well, the one thing they're impressed with is how much information our officials are still wanting to know, even in competition. So they're having that extra chat with an experienced official, or you know, just scenarios and coming up with different ideas, and just so they get more, as much information as sponging off these people. But you know, if you look at the fact that now we have a female on the list, you know, we had Tashawn. Through work commitments, he hasn't been able to commit as much, but he's still hanging in there. He's still looking to get back on that list. We have young Amari, who's now taking up a new career, so has to step away for just a little while. But you know, we're hoping that once he's settled into his career, he'll be back, because we know he loves the game. He loves doing that officiating. You know, and we're looking at these young people who are settling themselves in life, and then still wanting to give back to the game. And I think that's accredited to the associations giving them a chance to improve not only their personal life, but their life in general, and to be able to, like you said, see the world.
Yeah. Listen, refereeing is no walk in the park.
No.
You know, you just don't, you know, I want to be a ref and don't study, don't train, don't go to workshops. You know, it is a massive undertaking. And I want to tell everybody in Bermuda, you know, that just shows up on a Sunday afternoon. Hopefully they paid their entry to get into the game, and then for 90 minutes, you know, have an opinion about the referee. I want them all to understand that it takes a lot of dedication, a lot of commitment, and it takes a lot of personal, you know, development to get to the point where you can manage 22 plus players and officials, in spite of all of the screaming and shouting that may be being directed to you.
Yeah.
You know, from the hundreds of referees that are on the sidelines, right? It takes a lot, and I give a lot of credit to all of our individuals who are refereeing at the senior level, who are refereeing at the youth level, because they stepped up. You know, they took the leadership position. They didn't concern themselves with, you know, refereeing is tough. They said, I want to try it. I want to do it. Whatever the motivation is, they have dedicated themselves to learn their craft as best they can and in some cases with the limitations that they have.
Yes, yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
True.
But they do it for the good of they do it for the good of the game.
Yeah.
And
Definitely.
we have to say thank you, because without these referees, and you ask any club, any team in Bermuda, when the referees don't show up at their match, everyone's upset. Everyone's upset.
Yeah.
And I know that they will take any referee if they can still play the game.
Right.
And during and after, they will critique whether or not the referee was good enough, but they will take the referee.
They'll be thankful that somebody finally said,
yes.
I'll do it. Yeah.
And you know something, they deserve that, because they train all week. There is a schedule, and everyone arrives to play the game. There should be an expectation that a referee is there.
Yes. Definitely.
And so for those referees that week in or week out show up, we salute you, all of you, for doing that.
I have to say I'm quite impressed with the association, because when they do their Legends program, I've noted quite a few referees have been honored in that. And I think it's a testament to the fact that the game is not just about players. It takes everyone to make the game happen.
I think all of us would have to agree with that. That, yes, we are all playing our part in the game, because there is players and a match on the field. Let's not forget that it's about the game on the field, right? But there are also other arms of football, right, that are just as important, right? So we honor administrators,
right,
because someone has to ensure that the club and the game itself is being taken care of off the field, right? We honor coaches, because coaches, like teachers, they produce the next great player, right? And then, of course, obviously, we honor referees, because if there is no man or woman in the middle with a whistle, then there is no
everybody gets in.
Yeah, no game on the field. Yeah.
Quick sidebar question: when you started this position as general secretary, did you think you'll be around this long?
I tell you what, I don't think that I'll be around every day. Nothing's promised.
True, that is true.
So we give thanks always for, as I say, seeing the light of day. And it's been an honor and a privilege, to be a part of the number one sport in the world.
Yeah.
But more importantly,
what has intrigued you the most about it? What has intrigued you the most about being in the position you're in?
I love football. Anybody knows me knows I think of it as the game of life. Everything that we want in life, everything that we want in football is the same. We talk about togetherness, we talk about respect, we talk about commitment, dedication, and on and on and on and on. Right? Yeah. This is when we have our uprising in football. These are the things that we talk about. But it's also the same thing that we talk about in football. Same thing we talk about in life.
Yeah.
Respect. Yeah. Family, togetherness, commitment, dedication. Right? So it's very easy, if you will, to think about, being involved in this game.
Right.
Everyone has a role to play, I was never going to be a top football player. I missed my opportunity to be a world-class referee, and I don't think nobody would listen to me as a coach. So what's left?
You played with a top club, man.
Well, thank God we had top players in it.
But if you could make that team, if you were making that team, you was a top player.
I think somebody was injured. That's how I got in.
Injured, if you could start in that team, you was a good player.
Well, I'll leave that up to everyone else to say.
Well, let me ask you, as the general secretary, and anybody that's watching, young person, middle age, that loves the sport of football, what advice would you have for them to get involved in any aspect, not just refereeing, but any aspect of the game?
You got to have love for what you do. And out of that love and passion, you dedicate yourself to being the best version of yourself in that position, right? It's you cannot force somebody to be what they don't want to be, right? Football is the #1 sport in the world. It is the sport that touches the emotions of anybody and everybody, and not just football, but in any sport, it touches the emotion, right? So any young person, if they want to be a player, be the best player. Learn the game, practice, dedicate, but you decide how far you want to go, and then that's the work that you put in to get there. If you want to be a coach, there are tons of coaching opportunities, coaching courses, license courses. If you want to go to the top level, you have to follow the pathway of those who are at the top. You learn and keep learning, right? Administration. Nowadays, there are lots of administrative workshops, even degree programs now that didn't exist many years ago. So, you have to be, as they say, you have to be prepared, and you have to be ready to take on the opportunities that come before you, and never stop learning, because there's always things changing in this game, and you be part of change or you get left behind.
Sure. Well, Mr. Sabir, I want to thank you very much for your time this evening. It's been a pleasure.
Are you calling me Mr. Sabir because you have to on this show?
No, I'm just calling you Mr. Sabir because I feel like calling you Mr. Sabir on this show.
Yeah. But I think of Mr. Sabir as my dad, right? So
yeah, but yes, and I do as well. But I'll call you Mr. Sabir while we're on the air. David comes out.
Yes, but just before you go, we're celebrating refereeing, and I think we should continue celebrating refereeing. And the message to everyone is that our game depends on the support and the positive acknowledgement of the role that referees play in safeguarding the future of football, not just in Bermuda but globally. And any players out there that grappling with what should they do next, or if they're looking for another area in which to be involved in football, refereeing awaits you.
Thank you kindly, sir. Enjoy your night.
Take care. All the best.
All right.